So what if I told you the secret to creating engaging and sustainable courses is not what all teachers think? After just under a decade of teaching in technology as a TAS teacher and now as a deputy principal and previously university lecturer, there's 3 steps that we want to take setting up our year for success. So how do I know this? We've had 90% improvement in faculty programs. We've had 26% decline in disengaged behaviours. We've had multiple courses and multiple students selected for prestigious exhibitions like SHAPE and InTech for design and technology and industrial technology timber. Because the way we guarantee we can build rapport and we can gain respect from our students is to show up prepared. It is as simple as that. So today I'm going to share exactly how we do it and how we set up our 2025 for success. So by the end of this video, I'm going to share a 3-step framework so you can get prepared. You can be ready for your classes for 2025, even if you've never taught them before. You'll have a proven framework so that your students are engaged from day one. You can integrate technology effectively and sustainably and keep up with this insane speed of emerging technology at the moment. And we're going to save you hours in the process of preparing, driving real results and measurable outcomes. So the secret comes down to 3 core principles. So let's jump straight into the first one. So the first principle of our framework is strategic alignment. It sounds complex, but it's really not. We need to begin with the end in mind. So say you're delivering design and technology for the first time in stage 6, and we'll use that as our example all the way through. So we're delivering design and technology for stage 6. We need to begin with the end in mind. What does that mean? Well, what do the students need to achieve by the end of that course? So let's break it down. If they are at point A, meaning they are starting their year 11 cohort, going all the way through to year 12 in design and technology, what is the end result of that course? What has to be the major project? Now, that is one of the biggest end results or end outcomes students need to achieve. They need to design and make a major project. They need to complete an exam and a portfolio. So we've got point A and point B. If point A is where we are now and point B is our dream outcome, there is a gap between those 2 things. And that gap is the learning gap. Basically, students don't have the knowledge to be able to get to B without the course or assistance or the teaching and learning involved. So what is our first step? It's really backwards mapping. This is straightforward, super easy. So we need to backwards map. We know what the outcome is. What are each of the steps? So we need to complete a portfolio and a major project. We need to do project research or development. We need to come up with ideations and start testing. We need to know the fundamental research and knowledge behind all these design and tech terms. And we need to start understanding how do we actually design projects from scratch. That is the sequence of learning. We can do it here, but if you're brand new, there's a super easy way we can do it. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight over to Claude, or you can use ChatGPT. It doesn't matter. We just need to know what is our end outcome. You've got your syllabus, you've got these things. We know what our end outcome is for design and technology. You can figure that out for the courses that you're about to develop. However, let's jump over to Claude, and you can follow this prompt, and you can follow along as we go. All right, so now we're just in Claude. If you've never used Claude before, it's just another large language model like ChatGPT. It's fantastic for prompt engineering as well as just anything to do with text. So it's my go-to. So I've just pre-prompted and I've basically asked it to create a prompt, and all I've said is create a prompt for a teacher to use to backwards map a course. And what it's done, it's given me this entire prompt, and I've given it to the AI, and basically I'm just going to hit enter. So this prompt here is basically, I need help creating a backwards map plan for a year 11 course. Here's the role, here's the description, here's the factors, and it's going to create the step-by-step term plan for this course. Now, if I go back up, it'll tell me week 1, intro to design, gives me some activities and so forth and so forth. So it can give me a backwards mapped approach of the end result of the major project is that's where we need to go. And it can give you assessment breakdowns and so forth. But a super easy prompt is you just give it a roll and away it goes. Now you can just keep customizing it, but if you need that prompt, just screenshot the screen here. Essentially, to get this, all we need to do is ask, give it a roll. You're going to create an ideal prompt for a teacher who is backwards mapping for this course in this time frame at this level. And away it goes. Awesome. So now one great thing about this is I don't really like it in dot point form. It's hard for me to read. It's linear. I don't like this. So I'm going to say just adjust this to create a table form. So I basically wanted to create a table form so it's easier to read and I can just put it into my program, and there we go. So it's going to do that for me. Break down the sequential list. Now, if you're a beginning teacher, this is a fantastic way of stepping through. Now, just a bit of a caveat. You need to build the reps up and delivering the course to actually understand, is this going to work? And repetition is the mother of skills. So the more you do it, the better you'll get. So you can see now it's given a 10-week outline, learning intentions for us. What do we need to learn? Our key activities, our assessment evidence, and our resources required. Now that's a fantastic template, bare bones to then and go design our course materials. Okay, but you're thinking, how do I actually apply this? How can I actually put this into practice? Well, I'll take you that step further. This is my Google Classroom. It's my usual go-to learning management system. You can use Teams, you can use Canvas, you can use School. Doesn't really matter. You just need to have somewhere you can host your information, because at the end of the day, we want to create sustainable resources, meaning we can reuse them year after year or term after term. So this is my Year 12 Design and Technology course. This has been backwards mapped to that course. End result, major project. And we can see sequential order of all the tasks going down in step by step. Now, when I open it up, we've got what are we doing? We've got our steps to success, and then we've got our resources linked to that document. Now, if you're getting started, if this is your first ever time, fantastic. You don't need to worry about having it all mapped out. I built this as I went. Stay one lesson ahead of your students, even if you can get a week ahead of your students by posting. Super simple. If you need help with that in technology space, we've got a community. We're sharing all of this documentation for free in that community. So if you sign up to become a member, you can get all this and then you can just implement it without having to do all the creation work. Let's keep going. So our second principle, we've got our strategic alignment. Yeah, we've got our steps to success. We've backwards mapped our course and we've started building it out a little bit, step by step, in our learning management system, whether it's Google Classroom or Canvas or Teams or School, it doesn't really matter. We've got it step by step. Now, before week 1, you can have a welcome post and some expectations. Principle 2. This is really skipped over by a lot of teachers, and that is called student agency. What is that? A bit of a buzzword, but student agency is giving them a voice. If your students don't have a voice, then we're not making it authentic to them and their needs, and we're going to find engagement really hard to manage. If we go, yeah, we know the best idea for these students, and we're going to teach them all this information, they're not going to give a toss. And I'll give you a case and a point. I finished my university degree coming out and moving straight out to a really tiny rural town called Gunnedah. I had completed this degree in timber, design and tech, all those courses, and I thought, yeah, awesome. I know exactly what these kids need. We're going to build this, we're going to make that, we're going to do this. And I got there and it was a really hard reality check. They didn't give our absolute toss of what I wanted to tell them, what I wanted to teach them, because I didn't give them a voice. I didn't give them any engagement or opportunity to actually say, hey, sir, we're really into fishing down the river. Can we just start with a simple little project like making fishing lures? We ended up doing that right at the end as a filler project. However, if I started there, it would have built a lot more rapport with my students by giving them some ownership and agency. Now, if you're not in a position to give them free will, we're not saying that. It's giving them a voice to say, yes, we're going down the right path, or no, we're not. And how do we enable that student agency and that student voice? There's various different methods of teaching and pedagogy. However, there's a couple of simple ones we can break down. Simple task to engage our students and have a voice is put in reflection points. So our students they need to have ability to speak. Yes, they need to be able to speak out on what's working well, what's not, and demonstrate their knowledge through engagement. And there's different ways you can do this, but building in reflection points. So if you've got your point A and your point B, and this is our sequence of learning, and we're stepping through, and we're building and building and building and building and building and building, and we're trying to get out to our dream outcome, we need to have points where we check in with our students and see, because teaching, if you're standing up at the front of your class and just lecturing for an hour, that's not effective teaching, because the point of teaching is to change somebody's behavior. Effective learning is essentially they've absorbed some information, and if their behavior changes, they've learned something. So, points of reflection, and there's ways we can do that. You can jump on to Claude again, and let's have a look. All right, so this is super simple. We are just using AI to help leverage the creative ideation of teaching. So this can be really hard when you're teaching 5 different courses and you have to do this manually. So these days you can really just leverage that technology and the knowledge there. So all you do is you do something like this. Okay, so let's just really sum up this principle of student agency. So if you go into Claude or ChatGPT, it doesn't really matter, and you can get some assistance so it can help you fast track this process. So simple prompt, create a prompt for a teacher to use so they can give students voice and choice to build reflection points into the course and create authentic engagement opportunities for assessment. So here's a simple one that is given, and it's put it out. You can keep expanding that prompt if you not wanted to, but it's going to give you questions for reflection, such as how do you prefer to document your design process for the students? By the time they're in year 11 to 12, they should have a decent understanding unless they haven't done any of the prerequisite courses. So therefore, you're going to have to teach that skill. However, I digress. It's all about questioning in low stakes tasks. There is no waiting to these kind of questions. There is no sort of public name and shame. This is create ways and spaces for students to engage verbally, written, pictorially, doesn't really matter. One of the favorite ones is an activity called Picture This, where there's various different pictures. You just put them out on the tables and students pick one up and they reflect against that picture of where they are into the design. And it's just an easy way for them to talk at a thing, not at themselves, or not be critical necessarily about themselves and their learning. A really great way I've done this in my Stage 6 course, I could show you, is we have check-ins. We have project check-ins. We have points in time where we have explicit feedback, and it's given through that sort of, hey, you want to tell me what's working well, what's not, and so forth. There's a whole procedure for this. So as I said, if you want all this kind of stuff, in the description, you can find our community, come over. We're going to have a opening doors in February. So if you're interested, that's when we're bringing in new members. So let's get into the last principle. You've already started using technology. Now, the third principle to make this super easy as you set up your year for success is technology integration for sustainable teaching and learning. So we've already started teaching a couple of frameworks. However, the easiest way we can do this, so let's go to the structure. This is like a funnel, okay? We've got ins and outs, and basically here is our dream outcome. Here's our ideal outcome for our students. So what we need to do is we need to feed through this funnel to make sure we've got a most sustainable practice we can have for our delivery of our teaching, but basically our course creation as well. So how do we do this when we come to technology integration? Well, first, you need to have an LMS. What does this mean? This is learning management system. Remember, Google Classroom, Google Sites, Teams, those things. Just have one of them. It doesn't matter if you're good at it. There are so many courses on YouTube to figure out how to set it up. As I said, we've got all that in our community if you want. However, the first thing and point is this. Remember, the most prepared is the person who's going in there and building the most rapport real quick, because they're not worrying about the content. They've got all that in, and then they can focus on the relationships with their students. So the second part of our technology stack, and it's coming through our funnel, is AI. Now, when we're talking about AI, we need to talk about AI as a co-teacher. AI isn't here to take your job. There is all these rumors and scare tactics going around education at the moment. But with AI, what goes in must come out. If it's rubbish going in, rubbish is coming out. So the better you get at prompting it, the better responses you get. Now, we've got AI chatbots we're creating for specific courses to help tutor our students. And you've already started using AI to backwards map your course and start planning out authentic opportunities for assessment. However, it is the second pillar that we are putting in to our funnel. If you can get your learning management system set up, you can start using AI to help fast track a few of those pieces. The last piece of this technology funnel to get our dream result is automation. I'm going to keep it as auto because it's super hard to read. And it goes into the next. Now, what do we mean by automation? Now, when I was a head teacher of industrial arts back in Western Sydney, there was a point where I had 3 teachers. I was down 3 teachers in a faculty, meaning I had to deliver all those courses because there was no casual teachers, there was no teachers to replace them, and I needed to deliver the courses and assessments for those students. There's approximately 400 students that I had to deliver for and my own courses. How did I do that? I set up automation. What do I mean by that? If you've got your Google Classroom or if you've got that started, the straightforward steps for success, your learning intentions, your success criteria, your simple structure of setting your task out every morning for your courses, or you start scheduling your courses, fantastic. You're on the way to automation. And when you go to AI to help you craft those really engaging and authentic learning experiences, you're moving to automation. Because once you've finished your course in those learning management system, the following term, the following year, whenever you're rolling it over again, you can literally just duplicate and away you go. All right, so when I talk about duplicating, this is super straightforward. I go back to my home, and what you'll see is all of my old Google Classrooms that I've been involved in that haven't been archived. But when I go into my archives, you can see that we have learned this through tried and true methods for years and years and years, and we've been building and building and building to figure out what works. So the strategies I'm teaching you today are not just based on theory. These are proven methods. These are proven methods to work, and they work well, and they get results for your students, and they create engagement. So when you're at home and you've finished delivering your course, such as this one, you can just right-click it and you can just copy it. And then away you go for the next year. That is as simple as that. We've automated the process. We now have got our backwards map system. So now we've covered the 3 principles of setting up for success. I really want to cover 3 mistakes that I always see teachers making. So first, we're going to go in a bit of a reverse order. We've just talked about our technology stack and what we use and how do we use it. However, this is a part where teachers can basically complexity. It's making it too complex. I think it was it was Steve Jobs who said, if you need a user manual for your technology, it's a rubbish product. It's the same kind of thing when it comes to learning. If we are making things a lot more complex, then it's going to make us a lot harder, especially if we have to deliver courses for a lot of, especially if we have to deliver assessments, tasks, and everything for various different courses. Keep it simple. That's why we use Google Classroom or a platform such as that. The second biggest mistake, now this is massive. Remember we talked about student agency? This is where people think content is king. What we deliver, what we teach is how we get results. It's true. However, the biggest mistake here is we need to put connection with our students over content. Show up and be prepared. Yes, that'll build your rapport. People will think, yes, he knows what he's talking about. She knows what he's talking about. But if you don't prioritize relationships, showing up, doing the basics, greeting people with a smile, saying hello, one name, checking in on them, and you're just focused, we need to push through these things, doesn't matter, your students will switch off, and that is where you're going to have a lot more behavior management problems. Good behavior management means good teaching. If you're teaching really well, you have less behavior management issues. A simple way to remember this, we need to connect before we need to correct that behavior. So connect with the person before we readjust expectations or behavioral choices. And that third mistake I see a lot of teachers making, not leveraging data effectively. What does that mean? If you don't check how many students are submitting tasks, or what is their show-up rate? Are students coming in late? Are they trying to get out early? That is data saying something's not working. These students aren't engaged. Checking in on not just things like academic data, how well they're doing progression, but are they showing up? Are they showing up on time? Are they showing up in uniform or engaged, ready to go, ready to learn? If not, we need to do something and we need to set them up. So ready to learn is a simple way we can do this. Just greeting them, getting them into a high energy state. There's so much complexity in there, but we don't have time in this video. But just remembering, use data to inform your practice. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and you're expecting a different result, well, that's the definition of madness. We need to just look at what's working and what's not, and then adjust to focus more on what's working. So remember, the secret for successfully setting up your 2025 in teaching is not about having the perfect technology stack. It's not about mastering all these skills that I've just taught you or having the most innovative activities ready to go. It's about creating a learning environment where your students feel safe, they can take calculated risks and actually learn from failures, because there's no such thing as failure unless we give up. And then there is. If you found this video helpful, hit subscribe, drop a comment, let me know what's worked for you, and I'm happy to make more. And as I said, if you are a technology teacher and you want to have personal guidance, you want to be in a team full of high educators who are really just keen to innovate, keen to collaborate, in the description, you'll find the Time to Create community, and you can click there. We're opening up the doors in February. So put yourself on the wait list, and then we might see you there soon. Remember, effort equals results. Have a great start to your year. I'll see you in the next one.